Well, hello, my little Bumbabees, and welcome back to the Bumbacast. That's right, it's me, your girl, Teresa Bumbacco, here on today's 53rd episode of the Pop Cultured News. I know it's been a while. I haven't done a Pop Cultured News in a minute, and the last episode was the Epstein episode, and that was a doozy, and there was some random-ass person, excuse me, in the comments of that episode that was like, you're reading so slow. And I was like, I don't think I was reading slow on any portion except for the portion that's like the screen, the ETA that has like the 4chan messaging or like the comment section or whatever, where it's like so pixelated and it's like I can't zoom in on the screen. And it's, like, really hard to read as it is. So, like, it kindly fuck off, like, honestly. Like, really, like, out of everything, that's what you get. I sat there reading documents for over an hour, and, like, that's what you say. And the one thing, yeah, I was reading slow. I'd like to see you do it faster. I challenge you, sir. You can't. I've blocked you from my channel. You will never be able to comment again. But anyway, so I hope everyone is doing all right out there. I'm doing as best as I can. Times were tough there for, I don't know, a month there. Things are starting to hopefully look up. And then from there, we'll see. Working on Hollywood True Crime's Kurt Cobain right now. So that will be coming out to you guys in April. I'm going to be putting it out to you on April 8th. Obviously, that is the day. Well, I'm like thinking, do I put it out on April 8th? Or do I put it out on April 5th? Because technically, the day of Kurt Cobain's death is April 5th. News broke April 8th. So I guess it really just depends. What day of the week is April 5th compared to April the 8th? April the 5th is a Sunday, so I don't know. I mean, I guess a Sunday premiere would be all right. So, yeah, it'll be out to you guys Sunday, April 5th, 2026 on the 30-year. Not even, yeah. No. Not 30-year, 32-year, right? I can't fucking do math, man, because it was 94, right? It's 2026. So, yeah, 32nd. Christ almighty. Like, this is why, like, in the trailer, like, and I accidentally put, like, 1996 instead of 1994. I'm like, when it comes to numbers, I'm, like, dyslexic. Like, I'm borderline dyslexic. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I'm looking at. I have a hard time seeing them. I'm thinking about another number in my head. But then it's like other times I can really recall, like, oh, like how much I spent on something. Not like over long term, like, in the kind of like immediate, like it has to be like within the first, like, week up to like a month of me buying something. After that, it's gone. The little SpongeBobs in my head are running around and deleting files and freeing up space. But anyway, before I keep going on another rant, we got a few fun topics to talk about today. I was going to talk about this one story before we kick off into the first topic that Tim Dillon brought up on his episode last week. And I looked it up and it was from 2024. So I was like, I'm not even going to really like read a story about it, but I'm just going to like briefly tell you. Apparently some dude was eating a leg. Apparently there had been some kind of accident and a man lost his leg. He died. And there was a homeless person wandering around. And they were seen with the leg that was missing from the dead man from the accident, and he was eating the leg. And I lost my leg! Climbing up the top stairs, I lost my leg! So, Tim Dillon did a funny bit about how, you need to prepare for this. You're going to see more of this coming. And, he's not wrong. So anyway, before we waste any more time here, let's get into the pop culture news 53, shall we? All right. So first up on the docket, we're going to talk about Billy Idol. He was recently interviewed and on Bill Mayer's podcast, Bill Maher, whatever the hell you said, who cares? Wanda Sykes said it best at the Golden Globes or something. Bill Maher, just do less. We need to see less of you. And he has done the opposite. He's like, you know what? Fuck you, Wanda Sykes. I'm going to just keep being me and revealing people to be insufferable. But anyway, I don't really care one way or another. Like Billy Idol, this is like just fun news to me. Apparently, he wants you to know that the way that he stopped using heroin back in the day was by starting to smoke crack.
What?
So if you are looking for a way to stop smoking or doing heroin, however you're doing it, you could do anything with heroin. Heroin is really like one of those multifaceted drugs. I've never done heroin in any facet unless it was like in something that I wasn't aware of and I was, it was laced or something. I don't fucking know. But anyway, apparently you can do it anything. You can snort it, you can smoke it, you can inject it. I mean, it's fucking crazy. Anyway, so he said, I started smoking crack to get off heroin. And this is when he was on a March 2nd episode of Club Random with Bill Maher podcast. He said it worked. Once you're trying to get off heroin, what do you go to? You go to something else. We flew to London where we met a load of our pals that we knew. They had some of the strongest heroin. Everybody did a line or so, and they all nodded out except for me and this mate of mine. Apparently, he hit a crossroads, though, after a traumatic motorcycle accident in 1990. He said it took a long time, but gradually I did achieve some sort of discipline where I'm not really the same kind of guy in the 80s. I'm not the same drug-addicted person. Describing himself as really lucky, he eventually settled into being California sober. But listen to this. He says, I can have a glass of wine every now and again. I don't have to do nothing. But at the same time, I'm not the drug addict that I was in the peak 70s, 80s. So that's not what California sober is, Billy Idol. Like, California sober, as I say, as I'm California sober. California sober is just smoking weed. You don't drink. So yeah. And every now and again I will have a drink when I'm with like somebody or something like that. And like honestly, it reminds me of why I don't like drink socially or otherwise. It really does. Like it makes me feel like shit, or like if you're drinking too much, like too many emotions come out, and it's just because like I'm too like you know what I mean? Like it's like one of those situations where I'm too elevated, in the spiritual plane. That's what I'm getting at. Anyway, whatever. So, yeah, Billy Idol, good for you. I don't think he smokes crack anymore, though. But, like, that's, like, crazy. Because, like, when you think of, like, heroin versus crack, like, don't the two have, like, totally opposite effects on you? Like, I don't know, call me crazy, but, like, I've never seen, like, a heroin addict, like, tweaking in the streets.
Jesse!
Like, I've only ever seen a heroin addict, like, nodding out. or like passing out or something like that. Like they're falling asleep, but like also scary because you don't really know if they're falling asleep or they're ODing. So it's a fine line. Heroin is scary. And then also with, the whole crack thing, smoking crack, like that, like when I think of crack, I think of meth and shit like that. Like people are tweaking out, like they're like, underneath people's cars, they're trying to like rip out wires and shit and like go sell copper wires like from the street, you know, whatever the fuck, and I don't know. That's what I think of when I think of crack. I mean, it's just like crazy to go from one or another. Like maybe he meant like cocaine. But he said crack. He said smoke crack. So, I mean, he was smoking crack.
We gotta crack Gretchen wieners. We crack Gretchen, and then we crack the lock on Regina's whole dirty history.
Say crack again.
Crack.
I mean, it's Billy Idol. I mean, we kind of knew, right? All right, on to the next one. Okay, so we're going on to this next topic. So this is like pretty recent. This is like within the last like day or so. So obviously you all know how I feel about Ryan Murphy. We don't have to go through this again. That's neither here nor there. But recently, as some of you may know, Ryan Murphy has come out with this new show called Love Story, and it depicts JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette and their relationship. So obviously, JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, both dead. Obviously, these are kind of the type of people Ryan Murphy likes to make subjects of his shows, so he's allowed to dramatize their story, and he can, say whatever he wants because, they're gone. He can say whatever. And, it just doesn't mean that it's not in poor taste, and it doesn't mean that, people and loved ones and owners of estates aren't going to get pissed off when certain things happen. Obviously, what's his name? Jack Schlossberg. He is the nephew to JFK Jr. Yeah, the nephew to JFK Jr. Sorry, I lot of Kennedys flying around, but he's the nephew to JFK Jr. I'm pretty sure, and he's also a political activist running for, I think, Senate or something like that in New York. Don't quote me on it. I'm not keeping up with it. But he was very vocal about how he thinks that this is all bullshit and that he finds it very disrespectful that Ryan Murphy did it, obviously, which I knew he would feel that way. It's very obvious, like anybody would. Ryan Murphy actively does not listen to people or victims of tragedies and, don't make this. This is hurtful to us. He doesn't give a shit. Like in terms of the Dahmer show that he made with Evan Peters, the victims of the families of the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer asked him to not make that show, and he made it anyway.
Money can't buy you class.
Like he outright was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'll honor you respectfully. Blah 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 blah. Like they were like, we just like don't want you to do anything with this. Like it's just sensationalizing it, and he don't give a fuck. And now he's done it again with, Love Story, Carolyn Bessette, and JFK Jr. Anyway, so Daryl Hannah, famed actress in Hollywood, she is now speaking out, though, because obviously, I'm not watching this fucking horror show, like, no pun intended, but Daryl Hannah is speaking out because I guess Daryl Hannah has, I didn't know her history with JFK Jr. I didn't know they dated for like 6 years in the late 80s into the early 90s or whatever. But they did, I guess. And she's depicted in the show, and she's pretty fucking pissed about it because I guess the depiction is not good. So this story that I read talks about how she's claiming that the creative liberties taken with her character in the show has had a negative impact on her personal life and her reputation in the public eye. This is a story I pulled from Elle.com. Daryl penned a March 6th essay for the New York Times that criticized her depiction in the FX series. She explained that the irritating, self-absorbed, whiny, and inappropriate Daryl Hannah, played by Dree Hemingway in the series, is Dree? Is that really her name? Is it really Dree or is it Drew? And they just fucking typo. I don't know. Just saying. Weird name. Is not a remotely accurate representation of my life, my conduct, or my relationship with John. The real life Hannah, who had an on again, off again relationship with Kennedy Jr. between 1988 and 1994. See, I can't fucking do numbers. Before he later met and married Bissett, categorically denied several of the actions associated with her character in the show, associating and including drug usage, press sabotage, and comparing Jacqueline Onassis' death to a dog. The actions and behaviors attributed to me are untrue, Daryl said. I have never used cocaine in my life or hosted cocaine-fueled parties. I have never pressured anyone into marriage. I have never planted any story in the press. I never compared Jacqueline Onassis' death to a dog's. It's appalling to me that I even have to defend myself against a television show. These are not creative embellishments of personality. They are assertions about conduct, and they are false. She also explained that she has received harmful threats from the Love Stories viewers. So, cool. What the people are literally batshit. Like, literally batshit. Anyway, so when so many people watch a dramatization that uses a real name, real life consequences follow. In the weeks since the series aired, I have received many hostile and even threatening messages from viewers who seem to believe the portrayal is factual. When entertainment borrows a real person's name, it can permanently impact her reputation. Daryl Hannah has historically kept her personal life private and felt compelled to speak out because her silence should not be mistaken for agreement with lies. I agree. Hannah did not directly name Love Story director Ryan Murphy or any other writers on the show in her essay, but she noted that claiming those to have any intimate knowledge of our personal lives are self-serving sensationalists trading in gossip, innuendo, and speculation. I love it. She concluded many people believe what they see on TV and do not distinguish between dramatization and documented fact, and the impact is not abstract. In the digital era, entertainment often becomes collective memory. Real names are not fictional tools. They belong to real lives. Bird cage liners biodegrade. Online lies endure. May love and truth prevail. Amen, sister friend. I'll tell you what. That's what I'm talking about. Amen. Amen. I hope Daryl Hannah gets hers because that's some bullshit. Like, like, I really hope she fucking sues. Like, if you want my honest opinion, like, I really hope Daryl Hannah sues the shit out of Ryan Murphy, and that Ryan Murphy has no choice but to just like pay out God a huge fucking lawsuit and settlement to Daryl Hannah for misrepresentation, and she gets like a cut of all the, proceeds on any future project, and he just eventually is, Hulu, and nobody else wants to work with him anymore. Like, I hope that's just what happens, because that's a bad stain on Hollywood to do something like that. I mean, really, the fact that he's been going around this long and hasn't been like taken out or like stopped from doing it yet is crazy. So I really hope Daryl Hannah sues Ryan Murphy. From my lips to God's ears. Amen. Okay, I wanted to kind of briefly talk about this because um there's not really it's a touchy subject because you talk about it, you mention it, you get blocked, you get shadow banned. But I did want to mention this. So I pulled this article from USA Today. Mass mainstream media and including TMZ is trying to push forward this narrative that Britney Spears has been arrested for DUI. Now, the fact of the matter is that Britney Spears has not been arrested for DUI. She was arrested or taken into custody for suspicion of driving under the influence. She was not charged. There was no mugshot taken, anything like that. She was released within like a few hours of entering wherever the fuck she was taken in Ventura County at the sheriff's office. And immediately TMZ started publishing all these crazy articles like drugs found in Britney Spears' car. Britney Spears was alone when she was driving. Just all these weird things. Audio recording of like the sheriff's, whoever the fuck pulled her over and like what it sounded like. And then it started getting even more weird because Britney's handlers started spreading a narrative immediately out to the media, like a representative for Britney is saying that this is an unfortunate incident. It's completely inexcusable. Britney is embarrassed. Another representative was quoted saying Britney is going to take the right steps and comply with the law, and hopefully this can be the first step in long overdue change that needs to occur in Britney's life. Okay. A hearing is apparently scheduled for May the 4th. And then another spokesperson for Britney said hopefully she can get the help and support she needs during this difficult time. Her boys are going to be spending time with her. Her loved ones are going to come up with an overdue, needed plan to set her up for success for well-being. So that's going on. Because Britney Spears hasn't been out of an actual care plan this whole time. So the whole Free Britney movement and everything like that, when that conservatorship ended, a new court-sealed care plan replaced it and still has Britney in this court-sealed care plan. She doesn't have access to anything. That's why her music catalog was sold. That's why when you see videos of her on Instagram, it's not really Britney. It's like bad AI. And like one thing that I thought was very strange in this whole arrest, the Ventura County Sheriff's Department is saying that Britney Spears is 119 pounds.
Guess what, motherfucker?
If Britney Spears is 119 pounds, then that is definitely not Britney Spears in those videos, because it's not like they're fat or anything like that, but that's not 119 pounds. That's like 130. Like maybe 135. Like there ain't no way. Depending on the height, no. And that, I think that's like, if you really want to if you really want to think it's a conspiracy or whatever and it's not Britney, I think that's weird. If you're going to say she's 119 pounds, but there's no way that person on the camera is 119 pounds that is trying to be Britney on camera. And, allegedly It's Cade Hudson, her manager, who is best friends with Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian and Khloe Kardashian and Lou M. Taylor. And it just goes on. I mean, like, this isn't going to be a whole, like, Britney breakdown decoding or anything like that. But I did want to say, don't believe everything you read in the mainstream media. You see all these, like, weird narratives being pushed about Britney Spears. Like, all these things are coming up now. Like, now, like, her family is talking about putting, getting a group together and figuring out something to do with her, like her closest friends and stuff. And it's like, bro, like, we already see what they're doing. Like, they're trying to set this up to make it look like they're trying to help her. When in reality, like, was that really her getting a DUI, or did she try to escape and they took her back, allegedly? That's how, like, far I've gone with this, like, Britney shit. Like, I'm just like, it's weird. Like, people talk about the Jim Carrey, like, not being him and everything like that. And it's like, I don't know what was going on there. It wasn't so much the face that was concerning for me. It was the voice and the demeanor. And I don't know if it's just because, like, I don't know. I heard that he had been in the hospital for a while, allegedly. I'm not exactly sure. So maybe he was having health problems. So now he feels a little bit differently about these events. And, like, maybe he's just a little bit more bright, like, personality wise. I mean, if that's the real thing, cool. But, it did sound a little off to me, and the face didn't help. And then, you know, so I don't know. But, Tara Rule, that I follow on Instagram, and I used to follow on TikTok before I, deleted TikTok off my phone. She posted her theory, like, that she has a medical condition, and when she was on steroids and corticosteroids, it caused, like, really intense, like, pillow face. And, like, I get, like, right now, I have really intense, like, pillow face. Like, I'm so puffy because I'm, like, bloated because you know. And, like, so I get it, and I hope that that's what it is. But Jim Carrey, like, he's basically, like, in the last, like, over fucking 13 years, he's used every opportunity, maybe more than that, to, like, when he gets up on a stage and he's accepting an award or he's talking about something, like, he's exposing something in Hollywood. It's not like, "Oh, I'm so happy to be here. It's just so beautiful. All the films were so beautiful." Speaking in French, like, all this weird, getting emotional about his father on the carpet. Like, it's just weird shit. But then, like, at the end of the interview, somebody, like, a reporter off to the side is like, "What's your favorite funny face?" And he goes, "My favorite funny face. What's my favorite funny face? The one I'm wearing right now."
Cindy the Clown!
And then he, like, laughs and walks off. So I don't fucking know, man. Like, was that just a weird coincidence? It doesn't fucking help. It doesn't help. So if it is or it's not, it doesn't help, man. It really doesn't. So anyway, on to the next. Okay. All right. So the next one we're going to be talking about is, listen, we got to talk about this right now because the Oscars are coming up. I mean, we're like a week away as of, like, when I'm recording this now. And as we know, Marty Supreme is up for some nominations. So let's talk about this before they hopefully don't win any, because Timothée Chalamet is running his mouth talking about how he doesn't have any respect for the opera, the ballet, and nobody cares about it. I'll tell you right now, Timothée Chalamet. I'll tell you right now, Timothée Chalamet. If humans are still inhabiting Earth in 100 years, They will still go to the ballet and the opera. But they will not know Marty Supreme. I guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about this because this is in reference to the Safdie brothers, who I have said multiple times over the years, to anyone that will listen, basically look like trolls that live underneath a bridge and like need to be put away. Like, I always have said, like, they're like those creepy, tunnel people that had like the stained mattresses in like the Brooklyn tunnels. You know what I'm talking about? Like, they're like those kind of creepy troll people. Okay. So anyway, that's real. Look that up. I don't have to say allegedly. That's real. Allegedly, it could be them, but I'm just, saying they're like those people. So I'm not saying they are. Can't get me for that one. Anyway, so
who gonna check me, boo?
I want to talk about this because not a lot of people are. Some people did, and then a lot of people forgot about it, and I'm bringing it back up. So it's very hard to find this story in print anywhere. Even though it's real, it's documented. Excuse me. So, unfortunately, I had to pull from Page 6 Hollywood. Don't shame me. Don't stone me to death. Anyway, okay, so first of all, the Safdie brothers, Josh and Benji, whatever, Josh and Benny Safdie had a falling out. They're like filmmakers, directors, producers, whatever the fuck, writers, whatever they do. Made some movies, had a falling out, stopped working with each other. Nobody really knew why. There were like rumblings of why they had a falling out, but like nobody really knew officially. So rumors were swirling that one brother had gone full on MAGA, created tension. Then there was another rumor that was going on that they vaguely blamed the Writers Guild Association and SAG-AFTRA's strike when they had like a conversation with some colleagues. But then more speculation intensified on January 22nd of this year when Josh Safdie got 4 Oscar nominations for Marty Supreme, and Benny didn't get any for The Smashing Machine, which is with, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So apparently the root of this squabble comes from something different during their breakout film in 2017, Good Time. Now, apparently, when they were filming this movie, a 17-year-old girl was cast to play a prostitute in the movie. That's a crime thriller, right? So once they get on set, she's put in a scene where she's, there's nudity involved, and there's going to be simulated sex with an actor that goes by the name of Buddy Duress when they're filming in New York during production. Apparently, this was a pretty normal thing for the Safdie brothers to do by reputation alone, for them to, like, cast random-ass people in their movies. Like, they'll have, like, a 17-year-old playing a prostitute, but then they hire some dude named Buddy Duress, real name Michael Stathis, that had just gotten released from prison and had been jailed numerous times dating back to 2009 on drug charges, weapon violations, and fencing, stolen property, and motor vehicle theft. You're hiring somebody like that on set, but then you're also, like, putting them in a simulated sex scene with a 17-year-old?
Disgusting.
Okay. That's not even the worst part. It gets worse, okay? Josh Safdie was sitting there watching on his monitor. Benny was standing in the corner holding the boom mic. Duress, the guy that had gotten out of prison, who apparently was high at the time, pulled down his pants, exposed himself, and asked the girl if he could stick it in. As the cameras continued to roll. And multiple sources told this to Page Six and to people, other sources like are named whatever. New York Post. Also want to let you know that this guy, Duress, Michael Stathis Duress, died of a heroin overdose in November of 2023.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Any director who had seen that should have yelled cut and stopped the scene, but Josh let it continue, says an on-set source who noted that Josh and not Benny was the de facto commander on set. 3 sources say Josh, who is now vying for this year's Best Director Oscar, became aware of the girl's age on the day of production, shortly after the scene shot as the traumatized girl spiraled. Josh declined comment. Using a minor for nudity in a sex scene would flout industry norms, including a Screen Actors Guild rule that stipulates work conditions not be detrimental to the health, morals, and safety of the minor. Those familiar with the chain of events say Josh's recklessness was beyond the pale. The Safdies removed the scene sometime before the A24 film made its splashy world premiere at the 2017 Cannes Film Festival. Sources close to them insist that the scene was excised for creative reasons, but the repercussions of the incident didn't surface until 2022 when their former producing partner, Sebastian Sibo Bear McClard, real name, became locked in a bitter divorce with actress Emily Ratajkowski, threatening to expose the good time dirty laundry.
You in danger, girl.
Because everything is fake and gay.
Sources also say Bear McClard had dalliances on the set of Safdie's Uncut Gems, including an extramarital fling with a cast member. A rep for the siblings at the time said they were made aware of McClard's behavior in July of 2022. It was also the moment Benny was made aware of the Good Time actress's age, creating a wedge between the brothers, as one friend of theirs described it. Josh blamed Bear McClard for hiring a minor. Bear McClard pushed back and noted that he wasn't the producer responsible for ensuring her age, so they were just pointing fingers at each other. Sources also note that Bear McClard, fucking God, wasn't in the room when Duress tried to have on-camera sex with a teen. The brothers cut tie with Bear McClard and began private mediation to unravel the company the trio founded. You don't all of a sudden develop a moral conscience 6 years later. Like, that's not how it works, says a source familiar with the drama.
You're a liar and a malicious, despicable.
Anyway, still the Safdies continued to work with each other for another 9 months amid mounting tensions. In early 2023, they were in pre-production on yet another red-hot property that would reunite them with their Uncut Gems star, Adam Sandler, pizza eater. Then in March 2023, behind-the-scenes drama of Ratajkowski's split from Bear McClard included some of the details from the Good Time incident, including the girl's age. It was the final straw for Benny, who swiftly ended his creative partnership with his brother. As a result, their Sandler project for Netflix was suddenly dead. The edgy auteurs then went their separate ways, with Josh tackling Marty Supreme and Benny pivoting to The Smashing Machine, which I don't think either one of them should got nominated. The brothers have a history of playing fast and loose with labor norms in creating their signature aesthetic, however. While shooting the Jay-Z Hour Block music video in Brooklyn of 2017, same year, they allegedly raised eyebrows when they kept a child actor on a rooftop past 1 a.m. and long after the allowable 8 hours.
Now who the fuck did that?
One on-set source says he was horrified by Josh's lack of regard for the child, who cried and asked to go home because he was tired. Josh, for one, still appears to be enamored with working with unhinged non-actors. During a recent awards season Q&A, Chalamet said that a Marty Supreme background actor threatened him and warned, "I was just in jail for 30 years. You really don't want to fuck with me. You don't want to see me angry." Who is this, the Hulk? It seems Academy members have a very short memory when it comes to the on-set behavior of their best directors, says Anne Henry, co-founder of Biz Parents, an advocacy group for child actors. It is troubling that just a few years later, Josh Safdie is being honored as a director. Maybe it is my perspective as a child advocate, but I don't consider a director who hires non-union kids off Instagram, skirts safety protections for minors, has a girl do a surprise nude scene to be stellar. I would have hoped Oscar-nominated directors would be judged for their methods and professionalism as well. This is 2026. We shouldn't be in a create entertainment at all costs environment. Fact. Get him, girl. I agree, 100%. No notes. Okay, you guys, we only have a couple more topics here, so let's get into it. Wrap it on up.
Well, we're moving on now. We're moving on up to the east side.
Because I got a lot of work to do. I got to do the Hollywood True Crimes, Kurt Cobain. Got a lot of shit to accomplish. So anyway, let's go on. So this next story I wanted to talk about because this happened like about a week and a half ago or something like that, when the Les Wexner testimony started coming out from his deposition, his court-ordered deposition from the House Oversight Committee for his mentions in the Epstein files hundreds of times. So if you don't know who Les Wexner is, he's an 88-year-old at this point, billionaire businessman who founded the L Brands, originally The Limited, in 1963, that grew into a major retail empire with brands like Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works, Pink by Victoria's Secret, formerly Abercrombie and Fitch, serving as CEO and chairman for decades before stepping down in 2020 amid his scrutiny over his past with Epstein. So anyway, video released from this deposition, okay? I couldn't I follow a podcaster and also like comedian and writer, Shane Cashman, and while he does tell like the real news, but like he'll make jokes about it in a very like sarcastic way sometimes. So like this was before I had seen the video of the deposition hearing, and I thought it was like a bit. Like he said like, you know, like what like him just saying what happened. And then I scroll on his like slide of the post, and sure as shit, his lawyer really said this to him. So we got to talk about this. We got to talk about this. So here we go. Anyway, so the video that was released of his testimony before the House Oversight Committee. So if you don't want to watch the whole thing, it's about like 4.5 hours long. They usually are. I watched the Hillary Clinton one. I'm still working my way up to watch the Bill Clinton one. I probably won't fucking do it, to be honest. Roughly 4.5 hours at 4 hours, 25 minutes and 6 seconds if you want to go to it. Attorney Michael Levy, who is the representation for Les Wexner, leaned toward Les Wexner and whispered this in his ear after Les Wexner was talking about how Epstein could have had other clients while managing Wexner's extensive financial portfolio, and then a question that prompted Wexner to begin explaining the breakdown of his personal finances in further detail. And he mentions Google, he mentions Rothschild, like, I mean, he mentions like a bunch of things. And then his lawyer leans forward toward him and he says, "I'll fucking kill you if you answer another question with more than 5 words. Okay?" And Les just like giggles. What's going on? So we'll play that clip here. So let's play the clip.
Guy before Epstein How was he able to do that job, but also do work for other clients at the same time?
Well, like Peg does the work now. I think you could supervise the work, overview it, which isn't the work that I do, and say you could do really thorough work if you were doing it 3 or 4 days a month, certainly a week or a day a month, just focusing on these things because there are accountants and tax lawyers and other people. And then in setting up, as an example, I didn't have the idea to inventory furniture or valuables. And it's like, how could you have all silverware in your house and what? And I didn't count forks and spoons. And it's like, Jeff said people could be walking out with forks and spoons. I said, gee, that's a good idea. We ought to have an inventory. But then there was I hired a lady to be like the house manager who had run the U.S. Embassy in Rome, and she said, yeah, I know how to do this. And I said, well, why don't we keep inventories of stuff? And she said, well, yeah, I could do that. So she did that as kind of a puny example, but I wouldn't have had the idea. But then all the things were inventoried. That wasn't work for me or Jeffrey. It was just regularly done.
Answer the question.
Okay.
I mean, just anyway. So, Michael Levy had intervened, and earlier in the session, he had repeatedly reminded his client to answer questions directly rather than launch into rambling or anecdotal stories. Wexner was subpoenaed by the committee after his name had surfaced more than 200 times in the Epstein files. So that's real. He described Epstein as the world Olympic all-time con artist, worse, he claimed, than Bernie Madoff, while insisting that their relationship was strictly professional. Wexner also maintained he never witnessed any of Epstein's crimes and said that he even confronted Epstein in the early 2000s after rumors began to surface of his dark ways, only to be told that Epstein was being shaken down by a hooker, an explanation Wexner admitted that he accepted at face value. I can't. Les Wexner, like, what a fucking name, dude. Say that 5 times fast. Wexner denied allegations from accuser Virginia Giuffre that Epstein trafficked her to him, calling the claims absolutely and entirely false. He did acknowledge visiting Epstein's infamous island once, describing it as crummy, but he said that he had minimal contact with figures like former Prince Andrew or Donald Trump through Epstein. As of Friday, groups including the Ohio Nurses Association have called for Wexner's name to be removed from institutions he has funded. A Facebook post from the nurses group says, "Today, we sent a formal letter to Ohio state leadership calling on the university to remove the Wexner name from all campus and medical facilities. Healing institutions must center survivors, not powerful legacies. If there is no affirmative commitment to act, we will gather for a peaceful, informational picket." Wexner has not been charged. None of them have. They're just trying to get, like, the, kind of, what's the wording? They're just trying to...
It's showtime.
Lower the charges on what you'll get for pedophilia and child sex crimes and everything like that. And then eventually when they get it down to a point where it's basically just a slap on the wrist, people will start getting charged with things. And then it'll just be like, oh, you'll just be on a ankle monitor for 2 weeks or something. Like something dumb. Like that's what will happen. Like mark my fucking words. Bookmark this now. Okay, my little Bumbabees, this is the last topic we got on pop culture news number 53. Pretty quick one. I didn't want to, drain myself with this. Completely drain you. Okay, anyway. Oh, God, I need some more. Okay, so we're going to have to talk about Hilary Duff really quick because I went and watched this podcast episode. I didn't like watch the whole thing, but I got to the point where they started talking about it, and I watched the whole segment. I clipped the whole quote of her saying this, and I want to mention this. So Hilary Duff sat down on this podcast called Table Manners Podcast, and she was at some point in the interview with these two British ladies talking about her kind of education growing up, since she was kind of like, growing up unconventionally, possibly traveling, Disney star life, like that kind of thing. So obviously her schooling wasn't the same. But anyway, she says that, like, she didn't really go to school. She was homeschooled, wink, like that kind of thing, insinuating like, yeah, homeschool, but like we didn't really do much. And then like how her mom kind of lackadaisically says something like, yeah, like, can you just get your GED? Like, almost like her mom couldn't be bothered with it. It was just like, just focus on the work, Hillary. Like, who cares about school? And while I understand money is important, I also think education is, and there are laws in place to protect these child stars from these things kind of happening and them falling to the wayside, of them being left behind. So I don't know how this was even allowed, but anyway, so in the interview, she says she had zero education. The host says, "You were homeschooled, right?" She gives a wink and says, the host says again, "Barely." She says she did receive her GED, but even without a formal education, she said she knows a lot about a lot of things. She enjoyed reading as a kid. She believes she learned about the things that interested her the most on her own. She also says that she doesn't feel shame about not knowing when certain wars took place, because there's always Google and ChatGPT to find out that information. And that is what I have the problem with.
Hello? Are you fucking stupid?
I don't have the problem that, like, mom didn't give a shit and was just pushing her for the GED as child star. I don't care about that. I don't care about that she wanted to focus more on her career as a child and her life was more unconventional. I don't care about that. I don't even care about her not wanting to further her education at this point in her life. I don't care about any of that. I don't. Apparently she takes good care of her kids' education now, and they get a better education than she did. And she said that, and she said that they even teach her things sometimes. So cool, good. The problem I have with her, like I said earlier in the episode, is the ChatGPT thing. ChatGPT still thinks that Catherine O'Hara is dead. Hilary Duff. This is why reading is important. This is why education is important. You don't need to be a rocket science. You don't need to be a rocket scientist and to know all the years the war started without knowing that Google and ChatGPT, aka big tech, giving you the answers to things doesn't always pan out. So maybe, the fact that you don't really have that great of an education and you're relying on Google or ChatGPT to tell you things says that you really, like, when she said zero education, she fucking meant it. She meant it.
Wake up, wake up.
That's a wrap on episode 53 of the Pop Cultured News. I hope you had as much fun as I did, keeping you as updated and as pop cultured as I physically can. I do it all for you and the love and support you keep on giving me. I'm so loved. You really love me.
You love me. You really love me.
I'm so grateful. So keep on spreading the good word, and don't forget to turn on your automatic downloads wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow me, subscribe, whatever, review. If you fucking like this shit, fucking send it to your friends, your family, your ex. You want me to clip something that you know is relevant to your ex? Send it on the way. But also, if you're not following me on social media, what's your damage. That's at bumba.cast for Instagram and Threads, as well as at the BumbaCast pod for right here on YouTube, for Patreon, and for Substack. And please don't forget to turn on your notifications so you don't miss out for Hollywood True Crimes Kurt Cobain, coming out Sunday, April 5th, 2026. Free to all members on Patreon. So, until next time, I'll see you soon, my little Bumbabees.
We crack Gretchen, and then we crack the lock on Regina's whole dirty history.
Say crack again.
Crack.